A new study first reported by Frontline shows a staggering 96%, 87 of 91 deceased former NFL players tested positive for CTE by researchers with the Department of Veteran Affairs in Boston University.
This is actually a diagnosis that's often unrecognized. It looks to be more prevalent than we thought it was.
The illness is thought to cause depression and dementia. It's also been discovered in former NFL stars like Junior Seau, who committed suicide in 2012. The research found 40% of the players who tested positive were offensive linemen and defensive linemen. These are the players who come in contact with each other on almost every play.
It's really individuals and players who are higher risk for repeat head injuries. And sometimes these injuries could be almost seen as trivial and may not actually cause much in the way of symptoms after players sustain them. And so that's actually quite worrisome.
The new figures come as the NFL has reported a 35% drop in the number of concussions league-wide over the past 2 seasons. In a statement, the league saying, quote, "We are dedicated to making football safer and continue to take steps to protect players, including rule changes, advanced sideline technology, and expanded medical resources." Now, the NFL has made a significant investment in research, donating $1 million to the Boston University Brain Center and $30 million to the National Institutes of Health. We should also note the study does come with a bit of a caveat. The donated brains were from people who were believed to be suffering from CTE when they were alive. Ernie, back to you.
Dan Bowens, thank you very much for that. Joining us right now is our Dr. Devi. Thanks for being here. Are you surprised, by this this new report on CTE and the number of football players that are affected by it?
Well, I'm not surprised about the disease because we've been learning about that over time, but I am surprised by the numbers, right? Those are alarming numbers. Now, to be fair, some of that there may be a flaw in the study in that, these are people who donated their brains to science, so they were probably people who already had symptoms.
Yeah, but nevertheless, it's a real problem.
Exactly. It doesn't diminish the findings.
Right, and it impacts professional players as well as college and high school players. What do you think, young people, parents should be thinking about now?
I think we need to change the culture. So to actually know if someone has a trauma like this, this is not the kind of injury that people get where they're knocked unconscious, they can't move and everybody knows they got injured. It's actually the result of a lot of different repetitive minor injuries. So the person might feel like they're seeing stars, maybe they're a bit stunned.
Sure, right.
So it's not an obvious injury in the same way, but people need to come forward and say that they're having symptoms. So maybe they need to be removed from the game.
Yeah, exactly. Dr. Devi, you were also telling me that the helmet really is not that much protection.
It's not that much protection because the helmet protects you from something hitting your head. But a lot of these injuries are related to the brain sort of jostling around inside the skull. So it's basically being stretched out in terms of the nerve fibers. It's the same idea as with a rubber band. If you stretch it out too much, it might still look normal, but it's not functioning quite the same way.
Okay. We know that the NFL is looking into this, of course, but do you think perhaps colleges and high schools will be getting more interested in what's going on here?
I think they need to, because the NFL, if you think about it, is probably relatively safer in some ways in that we actually have all this media coverage of what they're doing, right? And they are aware of all of these things. The players are definitely aware.
Right.
But if you think about college players or high schoolers, they might not be that aware, and parents might not know. And at the same time, they might not have as much money for equipment to try to protect them.
Exactly. Something we really have to watch out for. Dr. Devi, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Enjoyed the information.